At over 1.5 million subscribers and over 1 billion video views, Papa Joel's English is an incredibly successful kids YouTube channel. They have a great mix of mixing live action with animated characters, and you guessed it, those characters are made in Character Animator. So in this video, I got a chance to sit down with Joel DeWald, the creator of Papa Joel's English, and talk to him about his process, everything from how he's using Character Animator, how he comes up with ideas, and how he's following and analyzing the latest trends to determine what types of videos he wants to make. So if you've ever been interested in making a kids YouTube channel, definitely check this out. Hey everyone, this is Dave from the Adobe Character Animator team, and today I am honored to be talking to Joel DeWald from Papa Joel's English channel on YouTube. How is it going, Joel?
Going great.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. Thank you so much for meeting with me. And for those people who are not familiar with you or your channel or what you do, what are you up to nowadays?
Well, if you're not familiar with me, it's because you're over the age of 6. I make basically kids animated content, and YouTube's my primary platform. So I post once or twice a week on YouTube. Sometimes it's very little animation, sometimes it's fully animated episodes, but I've been doing this for about 3 years, and it's really been good to me. And I wouldn't be able to do it without Character Animators, though.
I appreciate the plug. Your check's in the mail. So yeah, you have a really interesting approach. So I was checking out some of your videos this morning, and you mix all sorts of things. You've got live action, you've got 2D characters, you've got 3D characters, you've obviously got some green screen stuff going on. This really creative mix of stuff. What do you, like, when you come up with an idea for a video, how do you determine, like, what are the different things you're going to do for it at any given time?
I think everybody does this at first. You just come up with an idea and you do it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like throwing spaghetti against the wall. Sometimes it sticks, but most of it falls flat on the floor and you get 3 views.
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago, I started just taking YouTube courses. Like I've taken 2 or 3.
Okay.
Started learning from some of the best. The guy who runs Vid Summit, Daryl Eves, I think he's one of the best.
Oh yeah, I've seen his videos. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I started learning from guys like Daryl that, okay, you have to go on the platform. You have to act like a viewer. You have to find which audience you want to create content for and act like that audience when you're on YouTube to see what are they interested in? What is trending? So the first time I did that, I was watching all of this kids content because I was teaching kids in China way back when, years ago. And so like, okay, what are kids interested in these days? And eventually I started to kind of understand from like a child's perspective. And that's what I do to this day. I go on and I only watch cartoons. Just whatever cartoons pop up on my YouTube feed, I watch them, and I watch what's in suggested. And like, I'm looking for stuff in the last year that has sort of trended, because that tells me there's a lot of current interest. Like, oh, Halloween, there's always interest in trick-or-treating, you know? Christmas time, for some reason, everyone's interested in the Grinch. Just the Grinch, specifically the Grinch.
No one else, Grinch. Santa, forget it.
I tried other things, just the Grinch. But basically, I find ideas like that. I find something and go, oh, that would work. Like a recent one that's not Character Animator inspired was Lava T-Rex. Okay. I saw like there's this group of people that love dinosaurs. And you know, there's always the dinosaur kids, the rabid about dinosaurs, anything about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And specifically T-Rexes. So I was like, okay, what's a really cool thing we could do with T-Rex? Because I ran out of T-Rex ideas. Lava T-Rex. So sometimes you just get this like idea that like, I just can't not make this now. Like really, it's about the audience. You're making videos about them. Like, dinosaur enthusiasts love factoids about dinosaurs. So if you make a video, because I like watch these other videos, oh, the successful ones show the dinosaur, tell you a fact about it, do something fun with it, go to the next one, repeat.
That's a great, I love the analytical approach you're taking, because I think a lot of people, they just kind of jump into it without doing any research, without just this, hey, this is what I want to make, this is the story I want to tell, and that's great. You do get your story out the world, but when you're going for the, you know, the metrics and the exposure and the growth, doing exactly what you're doing, seeing what works and what doesn't, and using that to then inform and still craft your own story. I mean, you obviously are still doing all this stuff, doing a ton of work to bring it to life, but it's informed by these other successes and these other things you've seen. And I love your talk about watching it from the eyes of a viewer, right? So what headlines, what thumbnails, what content work because you see it and you see what doesn't work. And I think that's a step that a lot of people skip over a lot of times. Where did the idea for this channel come from? I did read in your about section you were saying how you were there was a school you started in China, is that correct, for teaching English, and that's where the Papa Joel's English thing came from. But how did that all start?
So I was teaching very young learners, like preschool age English, and I was using all of this music, especially super simple songs, probably the best music ever written for teaching a language.
Yeah,
maybe that's a secret to most people, but that's actually what that was written for. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. If only I could make that. And I thought I couldn't do it, so for years I just used other people's stuff. But eventually it came to a point where like COVID hit and our school shut down. Like we couldn't have classes, and I had to like make videos to teach. So I was like, I think I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I started making videos, and the name was like our Chinese brand, but in Chinese it's 美国宝贝教你英语. So that's not going to work in America.
Yeah, that's
so I took a sort of a translation, a meaning translation of that. It's literally like American Daddy teaches you English.
Okay. Okay.
So I was like, okay, what? American Dad? No, that's taken.
Right.
Papa Joel? There we go.
Okay.
So that's the name and sort of like where it came out of. But then like I went through that process of studying YouTube, like, okay, how do I reach a worldwide audience with these cartoons? Because like I noticed songs where it trended.
Yeah.
Like, how do I make even better songs? And that was so much fun. I just never stopped.
That's amazing. And where did Character Animator come into the picture? Because I know I've seen. Well, actually, I see right now you're wearing a Wendigo t-shirt there. That's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was the most serendipitous thing ever.
Yeah.
My coworker at my school like told me you can make cartoons with this program. It's called Character Animator. You should check it out. So I checked it out, and like the first thing I made was totally like wonky, like the eyeballs walked instead of the feet. Like I didn't understand that.
I'd like to see that. That sounds amazing.
But I figured out. I mean, I watched your tutorials and I figured it out. And like, I started finding like, okay, if I only could do this trend about Yetis, where am I going to find a Yeti? I'm like, this is a Yeti.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just serendipitously a lot of the characters at that time that were available for free were also trends in the kid space.
Interesting.
So I just was able to use stock like Adobe characters to get millions of views. It was wild.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, because I was looking through your videos and I was seeing, oh yeah, there's this character, that character, that character, and of course I've seen Red Monster like in so many languages, so many voices, like people using these default characters, and I think a lot of people think you've got to make this super customized, spend gazillion dollars on putting them together, and really you were able to just take stock off the shelf characters and get yourself started. And now obviously you've expanded that. You have these branded characters that you're putting on backpacks, you're putting on merch now, and are kind of doing it. But this is where you started, and it's just amazing.
Just some realism for the creators out there.
Yeah,
nobody's ever bought the merch.
Interesting.
This is one of the things that drives me wild. Like I know my audience probably needs backpacks and they wear clothes.
Yeah.
But I don't have YouTube's not the marketing method, especially kids YouTube. Like, there's some other way to do it. Maybe concerts, maybe live events. So you gotta be realistic here.
Yeah, it's interesting because it sounds like you've explored a few different avenues like this. I even saw like a cameo where it was you or an animated character or something like that doing these cameos, and it's interesting to like. It feels like you're always exploring these different, possibilities of what's out there and different, revenue possibilities. And that seems like an ongoing thing as well.
Things can change online so fast. Like YouTube as a career
Absolutely.
didn't exist 10 years ago, and it might not
Yep.
exist 5 years from now.
Yep.
So eventually there's got to be something that transcends this one platform. Like don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
But this platform is fantastic for reaching an audience. It's probably the best one there is right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I haven't had any success on anything other than YouTube. Just to put that out there.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, but it seems to be working out great. I mean, let's see. You're at 1.37 million subscribers. You have almost a billion views. Like when you first started this, you said you really started in earnest like 3 years ago. You said, could you have ever imagined that it would have gotten to this point? Like,
No, I had no idea how
yeah.
much interest there was on YouTube.
Yeah.
I thought 20,000 views was spectacular. And now I know that's kind of like ordinary if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and it feels like you're getting the whole family involved too. Like it's a whole family affair. And I know personally, I love bringing my kids and my wife and my dog into our my dumb little videos that I'll do as well. But how's that been?
So what happened was I was making these cartoons and it was just me. It was just going to be Papa Joel. I
Yeah,
was just going to be like the character that teaches the things.
right.
Then my son sees it and he goes, "Where's me?" I said, do you want to be in a video? Yes. And whenever he looks at my channel, if he's not on the channel page or he doesn't see himself in the thumbnail, he asks the same question to this day. Where's me? It's wonderful that people don't realize how easy it is to make a video if you're not doing all the production work. Like me and him go in front of a green screen for like 30 minutes a week, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
Some weeks. And then some weeks, I mean, we're doing it around our house, but like, I mean, 2 hours tops and your video is filmed and the kids go play. Like it's not a very demanding thing to be working with your family. But it's demanding for me because I have to write the script and set up the scenery and do the prop builds and do the post-production.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's great, like getting them involved. And I think it's the same thing. Like my kids see me with a tripod and lights set up and green screen and stuff like that. Hey, what are you doing? I want to be a part of this. And then they see what happens when they get in there. And now like they're inspired. They're making their own videos. Like Cameron, my 13-year-old is learning Premiere Pro. Like he's trying to get After Effects, which, is crazy. But yeah, it's cool to see that creative bug, get caught. And kids have such a great, vivid imagination. It's great to make them part of the process, right? So,
my son comes up with the best ideas.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, we're gonna be running one from pterodactyl. It's like, I'm gonna speak pterodactyl. That was his idea.
Amazing. There you go. Millions of views later. It's like, wow, that was a great idea.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have noticed that you do a lot of, so I was saying before, like the mix of live action and 2D and 3D and green screen. What's your green screen setup like? Because it looks like you integrate that into a lot of, your different stories. And it's great because it's like, hey, we're going to go through this portal. I saw one video today where you're going through different portals into different worlds, and then you take these different adventures. And with the green screen, you can kind of transport yourself anywhere. What's that setup like?
I have an unfinished basement with a concrete floor. And I nailed a green cloth to the wall.
That's all it takes.
I light it with $40 lights from Amazon, and that's my green screen setup.
Boom. That is amazing. Yeah, there you go. That's all it takes. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're coming up with the script, I noticed that like these characters, they pop up at all sorts of different times. And I was watching, you have these recurring characters that keep coming back. And then I also noticed like, I think you guys were in a museum or something like that. And then you just put like animated faces on some of the different elements around. It's like adding these animated elements. What's kind of the draw of these animated characters to your particular audience and bringing them in like that?
Well, like I said, the characters were based on trends. Like Yeti was a trend. Monster Hunt was a trend. So they all started as trends, but then I'd either bought or made or found the puppet. Like that took a bit of time to get the puppet.
Sure.
I was like, well, I got to use this again. What else can I do with a monster? Well, he brushes his teeth.
Yeah.
So they just became my cast of characters after I did like one thing with them. They would just keep appearing. And I think that built brand. I became the kids show about monsters that aren't scary.
Yeah, I saw you guys run away from some rainbow ghosts,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
that whole thing. That was great. That was great. And a big rolling pumpkin and a whole 3D sequence. So, what's the mix of how are you doing the 3D stuff in addition to the 2D?
3D is sometimes created in Blender, but it's all done in Unreal Engine.
Okay, awesome.
Unreal is, I guess, super user friendly. I'm at a point where I have someone do it for me because
Gotcha.
it's too
Yep,
much to learn, but they
I
tell
hear
me
you.
this is what they do.
And you're like, I need some rainbow ghost chasing me and a giant pumpkin rolling like Indiana Jones style after me, and
Yes.
that's awesome. If you like, if there's other people out there who are looking to, do similar stuff, let's say they want to make in whether it's the kid space or any other space or avenue, what would be your best advice for just getting started, like just getting out there, like making their first video? What would you tell them?
Done is better than perfect. Um, but also like what we were talking about earlier about your starting points, start with an audience. So, um, if your audience is people who love amazing digital circus, let's say,
Okay.
if you want to capture some of that audience that's rabid about kooky animation, you would start watching those videos and seeing what gets suggested off of it.
Hmm.
And then figure out like something you can do in one of those niches. I would spend a lot of time on research before
Yeah.
starting and really know the direction you're going to go in. Because I don't want these animators to just like pour their hearts into something. They're like, why is nobody watching it?
Right.
Like nobody's watching it because you made it for you, and they're looking for stuff for them.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely a place for passion projects. Like if you
Sure.
goodness, I've seen the coolest animation on YouTube, like it's Digital Circus or Monkey
Hmm.
Wrench, or there's a place for awesome passion projects. But I would say if you're just starting out, try and figure out like what people like watching.
Yeah. And then how do you deal with when, inevitably something doesn't work out the way you want it to? You are met with some sort of failure or discouragement or something like that. How do you bounce back from that? Like, is it just, hey, I realize that's a data point and I'm learning that and moving on? Or is it, that's just part of the process and you're moving so quickly, putting out these videos that you don't even think about it? Like, how do you go about that?
Failure happens all the time, and it's disappointing. Um, and I often like I go to other people that I admire that are ahead of me, just in the YouTube entertainment space, and I look at their channels and see, oh, this video they made also flopped. Like we're all
Hmm.
flopping sometimes.
Hmm.
Even Mr. Beast has flops. They're just not. We might not recognize that it was a flop, but
Hmm.
he knows.
Oh, we only got 20 million views, dude.
Instead of 300 million.
Yeah.
So it's part of the learning process. And then my mentor Daryl Lee says, okay, you execute, you made the video, then you analyze it and you adjust. So
Hmm.
okay, they all like 50% of my audience stopped watching after 30 seconds.
Mm.
Something I did in the beginning was
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what and then do better.
Yeah.
And you
Makes
also do that
sense.
with your successes. Like you have 90% of the people watching after 30 seconds. What
Hmm.
did I do?
Okay, I started dancing like a maniac, and apparently I got to do that in every single video now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Makes
I want
sense.
to, there's one thing you mentioned in your previous interview that I think is really cool. You said one
Huh?
day just a single person will be able to make animated shows.
Mm.
That's
Hmm.
exactly what I'm doing, Dave.
Yeah. One day is now.
One day is now, right?
Yeah.
Like you might not be able to tell all the voices are mine.
Mm.
All the
Hmm.
characters are me. One person can make a cartoon show. And the only
Yeah.
person that can really tell is AI. It knows it's all my voice.
Uh,
Like a lot of people like didn't know. And like, I mean, that's not a barrier anymore.
yeah.
It's just your
Yeah.
creativity. It's your drive.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's great because a lot of people are starting out and they think, oh, I got to get this huge voice cast and I got to learn all this stuff and put all these tools together and X, Y, and Z, and it feels overwhelming, I guess. And I know it is overwhelming. Like there's a lot to do. Obviously, you are working hard on these things and putting it all together, but it is possible. And nowadays, with all these tools and all these ways to help out, it feels more possible than ever for one person to make a channel with millions of views, and you're clear evidence of that. So that's great to
Yeah.
great to hear.
And
Huh.
it's so like there'd be no way to do it without the shortcut.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's even if we were rigging it in After Effects or some other program, like you can rig
Yeah.
puppets, but
Yeah.
it's it takes forever.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's me too. Like I tried rigging systems in After Effects, and my characters, like the lip sync alone, I can never figure out. And then all my characters would be very robotic and like look terrible.
Yeah.
And then that was such a godsend for Character Animator to come along and be like, oh, like this is so quick and easy, and it's fun process to do. It really gets things out there, and that's the great thing. It seems like you are able to just incorporate all these different characters in the video. So if you have an idea or in the script, you can just do that voice, knock that character out. It's rigged, it's ready to go, and it's just another, another character, another piece of your video. Yeah.
And the fact that it integrates with Dynamic Link with Premiere and
Yes.
After Effects, just
Yes.
it's the most powerful program. There are other competitors that kind of do the same thing, but they can't do that.
Well, thanks, man. Your check really is in the mail. This is.
Like I
Yeah.
want more creators out there making animation.
And it seems to have worked out, though. You seem to have figured it out. And I'm sure you've gotten better at Character Animator and kind of understand things as you've gone along. But now, when you're recording something, are you doing, the voice separately? Are you doing it live? Are you doing everything at once? Are you doing triggers? Like, what's your general process there?
There's live doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
Maybe you can work on that, but live is jittery and
Yeah.
I don't no, it is pre-planned.
Yeah.
So I found the most effective way to do it was first record the character's audio track.
Yep.
And then I have a high quality track. I take it into Character Animate, and the first thing we do is lip sync.
Yep.
Then the next step is blocking out the movement. So like the arm's going to go up here, it's going to shake a hand. Like this thing, it really takes a lot of planning to
Yeah.
make it look good.
Do you have any advice on creating a compelling character? So whether it's been, even just some of the stock characters versus some of these things you've done, even just putting a face on, an animate object,
Yeah.
what's your thought process into how to create a character that people will actually like?
Well, again, I start with my audience and I go with like, what are the types of characters they love?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for adults, like Digital Circus is just brilliant. They did off-brand toys,
Mm.
kind of spooky toys. It was so cool. So, like, I mean, I would say a compelling character is something that people relate to, and then on top of that, then the artist gives it a personality. So, actually, the most important thing is your voice and your
Mhm.
story.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, all of my characters have backstories and personalities and little quirks. Like the worm, he has sort of an anxiety thing, and his catchphrase is, "Oh no, what do we do?"
Yeah.
And I mean, he was the first character I ever made. His character is literally just a head with eyes and a mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
Like
simple.
it's dead simple.
Yeah.
So as long as you have a personality behind that, I think it's a compelling character.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's amazing how much you can do with that. That's a great point, because I saw the worm in a video. I think it was another spooky video, and he's like walking down the stairs or in the dark or something like that. And it was like you had the live footage, and then you just had the worm kind of going up and down to mimic like a staircase, right? And it's like these are simple things, right? These are really easy, like keyframing 101, right? Type of stuff. But you were able to do it, and his personality very clearly came through. And then you had like a little cool like animated effect to show like there was a noise over here, and he's like reacting to that. And it's like all these pieces came together, and it's like it's these really simple things, but when you combine them all, they make a really compelling a story and a really compelling video. So yeah, kudos to you for that.
I watched a lot of South Park to sort of understand that.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
what they were able to do with so little. It's great storytelling with very rudimentary characters. And
Well, that's covered most of my questions. I'd love to hear, for people who want to follow you and everything you do, what's the best way for people to see what you're up to and stay in touch?
well, the easiest way to find my video content is on YouTube. You just type Papa Joel's English. But I do have a Facebook and an Instagram, and I basically talk to everybody there because I have 1 million followers on YouTube and 190 on like social.
Right.
Like I have time to talk to whoever wants to talk to me. So like if a creator wants to ask questions or something, just send me a DM or drop me a line on one of the socials.
Well, Joel, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. And yeah, everyone check out Papa Joel's English, and can't wait to see what you cook up next.
Oh, stuff is coming. Halloween's
Oh,
coming.
exciting. Exciting. Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right, take care.